First in Idaho, where we are in day 6 of the Doomsday Prophet murder trial of Ford Chad Daybell. The religious author is accused of triple homicide and faces the death penalty if he is found guilty. Before we get you back into court, let me bring in our own Court TV legal correspondent, Krapf, standing by with all the latest. And I see you standing there. If you would please let us know who you have with you. It looks like Larry Woodcock from my chair.
Yes, you are correct. Hi there, Judge Ashley. So I want to bring everyone up to speed about a big development that took place in the case. Obviously, the state has rested. Big news after 68 witnesses, state rested. Then what happens next? The defense counsel calls for a directed verdict. This is typical. That's what defense counsels usually do. Bombshell, though, because what did the judge say? He talked about that the testimony that the state has put forth does not purport with the dates the state put forth in its pleading regarding the death of J.J. Vallow. The judge said the evidence does not support a finding of the dates of September 8th and 9th. It is clear that J.J. is alive, and so the judge said, Judge Boyce, I have some concern that the charging language which controls in the amended indictment is not correct. I'm concerned about giving that to the jurors, meaning this is the count of murder for little JJ. And right now, I am with Larry Woodcock. He is the biological grandfather of little JJ. Larry, what is your reaction to what's taking place? Now, the judge has not made a ruling on this yet, but if a judge grants a directed verdict on that one count, this is a very serious count for JJ Vallow. Murder, that's a huge thing.
Obviously, at the time this decision was made, everybody in the court was looking forward to moving on to the next phase, the defense presenting their case. It caught everybody by surprise. I was very angry because, to me, it took the murder of JJ out of this court. And I can't imagine that, because to me, how could you throw out the evidence and the testimony that a 7-year-old autistic child was murdered, and now all of a sudden the court has to rule whether it was even relevant? And for that, I'm so upset. I really am.
So, Larry, this was kind of a mistake by the state. So the state does have a chance to amend pleadings anytime before, the defense calls for a directed verdict. Well, so what John Pryor was arguing here, he said, Judge Boyce, the state has had ample opportunity to review their pleadings, and now we sit on the eve of the defense putting forth its case. The state has rested. The defense has made a motion for a directed verdict. I don't think the state now gets time to make an amendment. So what did the judge say? He said there's a rule that governs Criminal Rule 77E, that's here in Idaho, that the state may make an amendment anytime before the state rests. And again, so what would that mean? What we are just talking about, Larry and I. However, now the judge is going to give the state about 2 hours to come back and give some sort of argument, bring forth some sort of legal argument as to why they are able to make an amendment. So just a very big development in this case, and we'll have to see what the judge decides. Absolutely.
I have to praise the judge, and to be honest, I have to. He addressed an issue at the exact proper time. Did I like it? No. Do I think it's the right thing to do? Yes, I do. Because I'd much rather address an issue like that right now, today, at this hour, in the next 2 hours, than have this go into appeal and the case gets thrown out.
Right, and that could happen.
It could happen.
Yes.
And now, I have not heard from the first legal person yet as to the grounds and to the rules of this, other than what Judge Boyce has stated. But I do feel comfortable that there was a reason Judge Boyce brought this up.
Definitely, Larry. And I used to do appeals before I started with Court TV, and we would see this issue a lot. And so defense counsel would argue that it wasn't within that right date. A lot of times they would say, well, was there a bill of particulars that was requested? So that the state kind of put forth, narrowed down some dates. Here, the state did make one amendment. So they did do an amendment initially, but then they needed to, it appears now, do another one because based on the evidence, Judge Boyce is saying the evidence here is not sufficient for him to send that to the jury.
Absolutely.
Larry, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
We're going to wait and see what happens.
Let's all pray.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, babe.
Judge Ashley, okay, so that's the latest from here. Just a big day. State rested this directed verdict, this bombshell. Today we heard from Agent Hart on the stand. He was reviewing more of these text messages about Chad Daybell, which he said is the most critical evidence, which shows that there was a plan regarding JJ and Tylee. The text messages talk about the plan, and Lori keeps asking him questions. I can't wait. I'm tired of taking care of these zombies and demons. When is this plan going to happen? And Chad Daybell is saying that it is going to happen. So that's the latest development here in Boise, Idaho. Right after all of this happened, everyone gathered outside here, did a prayer group with Larry Woodcock. So a lot of excitement, disappointment here as we see what happens with the ruling on this directed verdict, which will come down, we would assume, in a few hours.
Listen, Kelly, amazing Larry Woodcock to be able to say, we'd rather deal with this now than have it on appeal, because you know as well as I do, he's right. You want this resolved now. One really quick question, and then I know we need to get back into the courtroom, but my quick question is this. As I understand it, Kelly, the state had already rested when the defense made the motion for the directed verdict, and therefore I think the defense is saying too late to amend it, but we know the state has 2 hours to respond to the court.
Well, Judge Ashley, you summed it up exactly. So that's exactly what John Pryor said. I mean, he has been put forth a very vigorous defense of his client. He knows his stuff. He knows the rules of law and talked about this. The state has rested. The state should not get another opportunity to come back in 2 hours. The state initially asked if they could come back on Monday. So they would get the rest of today, Friday, even the weekend, on Monday to come up with some legal arguments to support its ability to make an amendment to their pleading. John Pryor is saying, no, not so fast. That's not allowed. But the judge did say he's going to give the state 2 hours, which who knows if that's the right decision, but he did give the state 2 hours, so we'll have to see what the state comes up with in that time.
Oh, wow, I'm going to be texting you, Kelly, to get your knowledge on appeals, because this is huge. Bombshell news is right. Thank you so much. We're going to let you go to keep gathering information. In the meantime, viewers, a reminder that court's done for the day. However, they're going to come back with the state in a couple hours, but in the meantime, we've been taking you back to the beginning of the day to bring all of the testimony to you. So we are with the FBI agent who reviewed text messages between Chad and Lori. This is FBI Special Agent Douglas Hart, still on direct examination.